Hey guys, it's Will. So IonQ just exploded nearly 20% yesterday. And here's the thing. When I spoke with one of the head technologists at IonQ in this recent quantum conference in New Mexico, what he told me completely changed how I'm looking at the stock. These are insights that Wall Street hasn't caught on to yet, or maybe we're seeing some institutional buying kicking in, obviously. But in this video, I'll break down why this breakout may be just the start and what's really driving this institutional interest behind the scenes and the hidden advantage that IonQ has in this race for quantum dominance. And if you want to uncover the best quantum AI stocks, space stocks, and tech, then right now, I would encourage you to take a look at the second link below for StockMate. If you'd like to surround yourself with like-minded individuals and watch me trade live every day at market open, it's the second link in the description. So let's take a look here. We've watched this move play out from about $33 a share up into $55 a share. Now, just to disclose, I do have some long-term positions in IonQ, and we've been covering it here since October of last year, right around $7 a share. We've seen it get up to $54 a share at one point and sell down to as low as $18 a share after that announcement from NVIDIA saying that quantum computing is 15, 20, 30 years away. Then NVIDIA said, we're actually launching our own quantum division. We saw the stock rally and continue to rally up into this $55 range as of recently, a 16% gain yesterday on Friday. So this recent move through the summer, as we've seen them recover into May up to $48, kind of consolidate for a little bit here from left to right, and then make this move continuing up into that $57 range. It's been a nice gain that we've seen. Now, the reason we cover IO and Q is because when it comes to the future of GPUs, the future of data centers, the future of AI, we have to at least give some weight to the new technologies that are going to impact that part of the world. And one of the biggest things, if you look at Jensen, we talk about it all the time, talking about data center usage. It's huge. It's requiring what would cost to power a small city or large city to power AI with one data center. And there's many data centers being built, and quantum computing could potentially be one of the solutions to streamline that computing power into computation that doesn't basically take as much energy as GPUs. So they're fairly innovative with IonQ. And one of the things when I was talking with the executive at CES, but also at this recent conference, was they were really focused on some of these industries like drug discovery. They were talking about improving the lithium ion batteries, so battery improvements, and also things that are very, very complicated that only a quantum computer could compute, which is things like, the climate and all the millions and billions of variables that are moving constantly. And that's where quantum computing comes in. Now, the market of quantum has been growing pretty fast. We are hearing some estimates as IBM recently surpassed $1 billion in revenue from their quantum division, that they're expecting not just more backing like this $2.7 billion National Quantum Initiative bill that we see getting through, that basically has IonQ on the list there. You could see as they're one of the main companies that's mentioned. But what we're talking about really is the continued development of the bills passing, but in tandem with that, the new partnerships that they're building as well. Because IBM says, yeah, we got $1 billion in revenue, but this market's expected to grow to $3 to $5 trillion, according to IBM and Microsoft and Google, over the next few years. So again, when we're looking at where IonQ comes in, they at their core have a quantum computer here that uses a quantum system like the spin of an electron to do a very specific type of math. So when we're talking about quantum computers, we're talking about the types of computations that we could see high level reactions of things, let's say from a physics standpoint, from a chemical reaction, you could see how they react, and maybe on a molecular level how they're moving. But when it comes down to the atomic level, the electrons, how they're moving, things like that, electrons are, what is it, energy, right? So electrons are moving at billions of times a second, like super fast, right? So how do you calculate using things like the spin of an electron? Well, that's where they come in IonQ, and they are saying that the atom is nature's qubit. And so most important part of any quantum computer are its quantum bits, the qubits. IonQ's qubits are ionized erbium atoms. It's a silvery rare earth metal. So they are not only using rare earth materials to develop these quantum computers, but when you look at the types of developments they're coming out with from a market perspective, that starts to show the news that we're seeing with them, which is their partnerships. So the partnership side are looking good. Now, when we looked at the chart, you see that the recent surge up to this $55 range has been really significant, right? Now, when I was just there at the conference last week, one of the things we noticed was it wasn't like they came out with any massive announcements. In fact, if we look, we know their partners are NVIDIA, they got Google, they got Air Force Research Laboratory they're working with, Los Alamos, GE, Lockheed Martin, or Accenture, or some other partners that they're working with. And they're saying their newest, most powerful quantum computer recently launched, and they have some really cool outlooks on the new launches. But when you look at the actual resources, the newsroom, and what's come out recently, what do we see from an announcement perspective? Well, you saw a few things happen towards the beginning of September. The first thing that we saw was the analyst day here, September 12th. They were also at this recent conference we were at. But you could see they got a new chief corporate affairs and government relations officer here. So they just hired a new guy here. Now, this guy recently served at Lockheed Martin, and he served as a press secretary for NASA, which a lot of times the best hunters or the best deal makers, not that they are the whole company. The whole company is made up of the scientists. It's made up of the engineers, of course. But where the new revenue and sales are going to come from are from people that have previous connections with the type of partners that the company's looking for. So in this case, more NASA deals, more maybe Lockheed Martin deals. So that's a good partnership. Then, or a good announcement. Then you see IonQ, announces IonQ Federal to meet the increasing demand for quantum advantage across the US and allied governments. So we had heard that China was planning to invest $10 billion into their quantum computing. Now, this news here indicates that IonQ is doing everything they can to be at the forefront of working with the government to continue to develop the quantum computing side of our government's development. Now, you have Air Force Research Laboratory, you have the DARPA, work with DARPA, $100 million contracts with United States Air Force, right? But you also have this demand now, as we've seen with these bills that are getting passed, that quantum most likely is going to see more stimulus, more investment from U.S. government as a result of this new technology. It's kind of like now you see NVIDIA working with the government, right? AMD is working with the government. They're doing different deals even because of the massive demand for AI chips from other countries, and the U.S. saying we need to work this out. We got to get these companies are becoming bigger than our country, right? So we got to work with them, right? And so the same thing is true for emerging markets. The U.S. government's saying, hey, quantum could be a big factor here. We want to make sure we're ahead of it. We want to make sure that we're partnering with them, that we're enabling them to grow and become world players, but that we're also the ones moving it forward. And so that's the US government. Along with that, in the same week, we have IonQ securing regulatory approval from the UK Investment Security Unit. So, UK, they're working with. So, all these things in tandem, along with the AI boom we're in, seeing AI stocks up, our Rigetti positions up 80% over there. We're seeing spikes in quantum, and it's good to see IonQ up as well, as we're more than 5x at this moment, since when we started investing in it last year. These are amazing booms we're in right now. This is a golden age, but we do see it get up here now with this big surge into $55 with the RSI overbought, with the MACD overbought. Do we continue to see that surge play out? I think we're most likely going to see a near-term correction. Now, I don't know if it's going to be as big as a full sell down back into this $47 range, but last time when we saw a big spike like this in one day, we did see it pull back from 48 all the way down to 40 in about 2 or 3 days. So we're up to 56. Could we see it pull back down into this $48 range? I think it's quite possible, right? So while it's holding above the EMA, holding above that moving average, now we see it overbought on the RSI. And not only that, while these articles look great, right? We're seeing good movement there. You have to also consider the third piece of our analysis here, which is going to be the actual financials. The financials, while they're at a $16.5 billion valuation, you see a lot of articles, probably some hype here and there, probably some scientific breakthrough articles as well, along with an acquisition that they recently had for Oxford Ionics, which is one of the leaders there in quantum. They're still seeing now, if you're seeing a 1 day ago article saying 10x upside, probably be wary. Probably have some caution around this time if you're in IonQ, because while 10x upside looks cool, looks really nice, we're still looking at a $16.5 billion market cap, and they haven't brought in more than about $20 million in a quarter. So they're still losing about $300 million per year. Their net income's down. The revenue is up 95%, but still 43 million in revenue for a year really isn't gonna push them. This is very much right now a buying what could be, which means that as fast as it came up, just as fast we could see it sell back down. In fact, it would be healthy to see it get back down into that $40 to $45 range, because that's where the trend has been. That's where we've seen it, continually build that market cap over the last year. So currently looking overbought, that if you get into a position, it's fine if it's long term. If it's short term, be ready for that volatility. And if it is a short term plan, be ready with a stop. Have a clear plan of where you would sell or what your risk is, because now risk looking a little higher right now than it is as far as for short-term trade as it would be long term. You're probably okay. It's just a higher entry than what we've seen in the market. Just considering long term doesn't that's fine. You could buy anytime. Short term though, again, just pretty risky right now. But when we look at the financials, you also see their assets increasing. They now have been able to grow their assets to about 1.35 billion, an all-time high for them, up to 1.3 billion, but total assets are at 168. So the total assets now, not even any risk of bankruptcy. They got years of runway. They got plenty of runway, plenty of cash, and assets are up 160% year over year there. So you see them continue to build on that side of things. So when we're looking at next steps, the number one thing that we're looking at here is probably this pull down to this EMA. We're looking at a $52 price point most likely. If they're going to continue the trend they're in right now, let's say that they have this hyper bull trend where they're stair stepping up and they're making this level, and we see that big surge up to $55. most likely what we're looking at for a correction in the near term is at least down to this $53 price point, which would be a 3% sell down. Now, I would expect something more like this, probably get it pulled down to that $50 range. I think that would be a little more accurate for their current trend. But let's just watch, because remember, if institutions are going to sell, they usually drive the price up before they sell. So with IonQ, we were just talking about it in StockMate recently, because we've been covering these stocks a while. There's some great members in there. We got over 25 individuals that are millionaires here, that we did see the earnings come out, which we have our targets for the week, and we had some bullish targets here for Oracle. They were at 232. We thought they were going to go to 300, which is, people were telling me, well, that's pretty bullish. Most people are 250, 270. I said, if they see the GPU demand increase, we could see Oracle jump to this from current 223 or 232. So this is a company in GPU cluster demand. We're talking about AI cloud, like the AI market, which will drive quantum. They came in with good earnings. Not only did they hit $300 a share of our price target, they ended up going further. So they came out with earnings. According to StockMate, we had after hours earnings here on Tuesday. Oracle came out with them. And in that instance, Oracle drove the market. We saw Oracle make its way up into $345 a share. We were projecting here about 34% on a bounce on the 200-day moving average and a continuation. We saw them get up to 345 before pulling back because they crushed their earnings. What does that mean? We could see sustained green when you have, let's say, NVIDIA come in with good earnings and you have Oracle come in with great earnings. That means we're going to see more growth in AI because there's more demand, more things heating up, which usually is going to lead to the quantum market doing well because it's fairly impactful in AI. A lot of these quantum computers are being used in tandem with GPUs. And aside from that, also working on seeing how AI can help improve the usage of the quantum computers with GPUs. So IonQ, we see them, they got partners with Amazon Web Services. You can find them there on AWS. We've seen that. We've done some articles there. And so you can actually search AWS. Let's see, you got Rigetti there, but you can find them on Amazon Bracket here on Amazon. So tapping into IonQ through the cloud. So what that leads us to believe is if they're achieving 20x performance results, or they're looking to implement more qubits and accelerates the computing power and drug discovery, material science, financial modeling, all these, then IonQ could be potentially the main player here in quantum. So we're going to continue to watch it. We're going to see how they react at market open. If you guys would like to join us in our market open session live, we go trade and invest and give market updates every morning. It's the second link in the description below. You get access to our community of like-minded individuals. Also work with you one-on-one if you have any questions, things like that. But on top of that, I'll even send you a free StockMate t-shirt when you join StockMate with the second link below with our current sale. So go have a look. Hopefully I earned your thumbs up. Hit the like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.